Hello, everybody. My name is Evan Kaplan. I'm the CEO of InfluxData. I want to thank Zoe and Jay for their work introducing the whole InfluxDays and also for their general work doing a great job in developer relations. Thanks, you guys. Let's get started. I have been at Influx for now almost 6 years. And while I wasn't there at the very beginning, I was there when we had 3,000 sites running Influx daily. And today we have 650,000 sites running Influx daily. So super proud to be part of that journey and super proud to be partnered with Paul Dix, our founder, who you'll be hearing more from later. So let me jump into it a little bit. So at Influx, we are about builders. We consider ourselves builders, and we're about serving builders. Everyone listening is a builder. Everyone in our community is a builder. And what makes us different is we like to design things. We like to make them work. We like to make them work better. We like to fix them if they're broken. We like to solve problems. This is how we act in the world. This is what makes us happy and feel effective.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use.
I love that clip from Steve Jobs because it captures the empowering nature of being able to write good code, to be able to build sophisticated systems, to be able to act in the world. And I think it captures that dynamic really, really well. So hopefully that was useful. So what builders love is the process of creating something new or improved. To do that thoughtfully requires passion, it requires curiosity, it requires empathy. And to do it correctly requires knowledge, insight, expertise. All of that developed over time, but the journey in of itself is incredibly fulfilling. And so we really, really enjoy providing a platform for people who want to go on that journey. Builders are creative and resourceful, and I thought this was really great. Those of you who've seen The Martian, the story of an astronaut stranded on Mars and how he has to engineer his way home. There's a great quote from that I think really captures some of the dynamic that is important to our community and certainly important to our employees at Influx. And it starts with, at some point, everything's going to go south on you, and you're going to say, this is it. This is how I end. Now you can either accept that or you can get to work. That's all it is. You just begin, you do the math, you solve one problem, you solve the next one and the next. And if you solve enough problems, you get to come home. I just love that. I love the quote. I love the story. I recommend you see the movie. It's quite good and captures that essence of creativity and resourcefulness. So when I first met Paul, we spent a couple of hours. I had a very strong technical background, but I did not have a background in this area called time series data or deep background in databases. And after talking to Paul for a couple of hours, I said simply to him, so you really enjoy building cool stuff for other people who build cool stuff? And he goes, yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. And that sort of captured my imagination. It's something I've held close all the way since as we've tried to pilot this future for Influx as we've grown over the years. We like to think we build cool stuff for people who build cool stuff. And hopefully later on in the program, you'll stay tuned and you'll see some of those amazing things people have built on Influx. And I'm excited to share that all with you. So what's equally important to us is that we have an open source project that it's the lifeblood of our company. And we want to think that this is a project with velocity. And it's not just our contributions to the project itself, to Influx, to Telegraph, to the variety of open source components, but to other systems, whether it's Apache OWL or a Flight or other systems that we use in building our products and our capabilities and things like that. We wanted people to look at Influx and view it as a project that has velocity, so that they can attach their stars to that, they can become increasingly competent, and they become increasingly confident that that skill set they've built is useful over time. And so let me start with a little bit of gratitude for our community. Our community is our touchstone. Today, we have 1,800 plus contributors who have helped us build this platform. A lot of the code has been written by people who work for Influx, but a lot of it is written by people who are contributors to the open source in the community, and we are super thankful for them. Every day, as I mentioned earlier, there are 650,000 of us open source users who download, run an instance of Influx and use it to collect time series data and process that data. Since we've developed our cloud platform, we now have 65,000 cloud native developers. We have millions of Telegraph users and millions of InfluxDB downloads. It's one of the most popular databases out in the market. And I just want you to be aware that by tuning in, whether you're first starting to use Influx or you've used it for 6 or 7 years, you're part of that. You're part of that in some way. You're part of that of making that better. You're part of using it. We have a tremendous amount of appreciation for everybody who touches, improves, and uses the stuff we build. Super proud of that. In addition, we have a deep commitment to the community and OSS. And so ways to represent is not, as I mentioned earlier, is not just contribution to our projects, but to others, but also the way we approach licensing. All of our code all of our open source code is MIT licensed, which means it's freely available, which in theory, somebody could use it to compete against us. We're comfortable with that. We want this license. We want this community to build. We want people to feel free to use our code to build really cool stuff. It'd be great if you can become one of the 1,300 plus commercial customers, but we're also proud of whoever uses us in the open source and builds cool stuff with it. So the breadth of our community is quite large, as I already mentioned, but one of the things that's not so obvious that we're super proud of is these GitHub stars. People often say to me, you can't monetize GitHub stars, you don't get paid for GitHub stars. But I pay attention to that. I watch that number every month because what it tells me is that you, developers, builders of all sorts, like the project. And many of you know that open source projects fall in and out of favor and in and out of fashion. And one of the things I'm most proud of is that with InfluxDB, we've seen a steady, non-interrupting line up and to the right of people who every month say they like the project and they're building on it. I think there's nothing about running this business that makes me happier. So I want to talk about our true north. These are the values that we talk about within the company and the way we view the world, and we want you to understand it. Because if you understand where we're coming from, then you'll understand ideally what we're trying to build. So first of all, we think we exist to help developers create increasingly intelligent, automated systems with their time series data. And I'll give more fulsome explanation of that in a little bit. But this is super important to us. It's what we get up every day thinking about. How we succeed is we put builders first. You're our audience. You're the people we want to appeal to. You're the people we build for. We feel fundamentally that we need to earn the trust of our customers and each other as employees, as people within the company, and with our customers and with our open source users. We focus, and this is a really important dynamic for us, we focus on this notion of time to awesome. The idea that a developer can start using our tool and feel pretty effective in a relatively short period of time. Traditionally, we've done that in the open source. We've tried to make that even easier in our cloud platform, and hopefully you'll hear more about that in the coming days. We also take seriously the notion of scale because people start by building small projects that grow quite large, and you'll hear about some of those projects. And the way we think about that, the way we articulate it, is we scale from sensors to the edge, to the cloud, and all the way through with a common API that can be used across once, with the idea that you build it once and you're able to use it across those multiple domains. And lastly, we respect the ecosystem. And that's the open source ecosystem of projects that we contribute to, including our own, but it's also the closed source ecosystem, the tools that the cloud providers provide or third-party use or the people want to interact with. We know we don't live in isolation. We know that when you want to build a system, there are multiple components. We want to be the foundation of that system. And in order to be that foundation, we have to respect the ecosystem that we live in. And we take that very seriously. And lastly, we want to meet builders where you are, right? We want to meet you where you are with the tools and the frameworks that you want to use, in the environment you want to work in, and most importantly, leveraging the skill sets that you already have, all to drive that time to awesome, that fundamental utility to go faster and faster, and for you to be more and more effective in your work and the things that you build. Let me talk a little bit about what's driving time series in the world around us. There's a concept that I've coined called the instrumentation imperative. And so it can sound obvious on the headline, but the fundamental belief that I have is that every system that we work with is moving towards increasing autonomy, whether it's self-correcting, whether it's self-healing, whether it's completely autonomous. That we see, and I think this is obvious to most of us, an increasing intelligence built into virtually all of our systems, driven by big advances in AI and machine learning. And let's be clear, the foundation of AI and machine learning is time series data. What happened, what happened, what happened, what's going to happen, right? What happened, what's likely to happen. That's the foundation of AI and machine learning. And then importantly, collecting all of that intelligence built from the time series data, you need to be able to operate on it in real time with rapid processing of data to drive control systems. It's not enough to just build dashboards and indication systems. It's more important to be able to take action in the real world and build systems that are self-correcting, that are self-healing, that are eventually autonomous. And importantly, and the reason why I talk about the instrumentation imperative, is instrumentation is where that journey starts, and it's the language of the journey throughout the whole experience. And that's a fundamental belief we have. And that serves not just us who are building a time series database, but our competitors who are building time series databases or other people who are operating on time series data within their platforms. So let's talk about that journey a little bit. So the fundamental assertion is all systems evolve through increasing instrumentation. And so how does that work? You start by instrumenting a system. You then watch how it behaves. You learn the behavior, and then you build corrections for it. You automate those corrections. And if you do that over and over and over again, you have an intelligent system. If you do that a few million times, you put a man on Mars. If you do that 5 billion times, you have a self-driving car capable to operate through the streets of New York City without a driver behind it. But you begin to get the element of virtually all systems. Whether they're hardware sensors at the end or software, all systems want to become increasingly intelligent. And lastly, before I turn the presentation and the rest of the InfluxDays over, I want to talk to you about the journey that I think is really important career-wise for the folks who work with our platform. And that's the journey from becoming a builder to a practitioner. And let me start with a short story. Is when I was in graduate school, I had a good friend who was in medical school, and she talked to me about what that medical school experience was, and then the residency and the internship. And she said to me, I can sum up my whole residency really in a short phrase. And that phrase was see one, do one, teach one. And you can imagine how that would apply to a medical student, right? You see a surgery, you do a surgery, you teach a first-year resident that surgery. You see a medical intervention, you do a medical intervention, you teach somebody else that medical intervention. And it becomes the lingua franca of that journey around medicine. And let me suggest that that's the lingua franca that we would love you guys to adopt around our platform, around time series. The way I view it is our data platform is quite simply a very powerful tool. If you learn how to use it, if you learn how to build with it, and it's our job to make that process not too hard, if you learn how to understand the systems that you're operating with it, if you learn how to fix problems with it, and you can then take that capability from place to place, from system to system, to company, and teach others how to do the same, you're becoming a practitioner working with time series. That is a skill that you will have throughout your career, whether you're just starting or whether you're in the middle of your career. We want you to be builders and along the way become practitioners. That journey is really quite important to us. We want to build the platform that allows you to do that. Whether it's our platform or somebody else's you use, we think it's a worthy calling. So the next couple of days are designed to be helpful in that journey. Right? You've seen the agenda, you have a sense of what's coming. We should be able to provide context for that journey. We should be able to answer your questions. You will not only understand what's new at the end of these few days, what's coming soon, but you'll all understand the stuff that's behind what I've just shared, which is how and why we build this platform. With that, I'm excited to hand it over to our very talented team of PMs and engineers to tell you more about InfluxDB, the smart data platform. Thank you all.